Hello, today we'll be continuing with Chapter 1 for Nerus. So last time you met Alicia, who's a young woman who partners up with Buddy, a crocodile detective, and they travel to this island to figure out who murdered the abbot of Cement. I think that's where the church is, Cement or Knock. I don't know which one, but this person was the leader of a church, a big and influential church. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue. The building located south of the monk's dormitory turned out to hold both a refectory and a kitchen. Although the kitchen would surely be bursting with activity once the time came to prepare dinner, for the time being, boiling water, scrubbing sponges, and some boiling water hummed a tranquil melody. The abbey chef was organized at a cupboard as he talked to a woman, eyebrows and an arc and tension in his voice. The woman who was wearing a black hammock, much like the monks, noticed the duo as soon as they came in. The chef, however, kept running his mouth. I'm telling you, I don't like this. This is going to bring unwanted attention. And if someone... Tom, look, we have visitors. The woman, a blonde old lady with curly hair, interrupted herself and pointed towards the detective duo. Tom turned around, his eyes almost bulging in surprise, but quickly put on a somewhat dignified face, although his voice is still shrill. Detective, and this is? Alicia. She is my assistant. It's good to meet you, Alicia. What brings you to our splendid kitchen? Alicia skipped breath of the day. Can we grab a snack for her? The man clicked his tongue and then looked to a table that had a tray with some food on it. You can help yourself with the day's leftovers, I suppose. Good enough, thank you. Tom rolled his eyes and started whispering to the old woman. The investigators ignored them and sat down at the table. Hey, buddy, what do you think they were talking about? Alicia whispered to the crocodile. Who knows? That guy's been acting like a nervous wreck ever since I arrived. Do you think he's pretending? He does look a bit shaken up. If he's pretending, then there might be something he wants to hide that stresses him. Although who knows if it has to do with our case. Perhaps he got a story with drug use and is afraid of an agent of the law finding out. He looks the type. But how long has he been behaving like this? According to the monks, it started soon after William died. After grabbing a cut of beef and some vegetables, Alicia shot herself and the woman another look. Her taste buds vibrated with joy from finally savoring some good food, while her mouth was completely focused on those two. They seemed to be holding a more casual conversation now, but Tom was still fidgeting with his apron. Every once in a while he would try to shoot them a glance, only to stop himself in the last second. The woman in the black habit, however, acted perfectly natural. She had a gentle appearance and features, and the way she smiled reminded Alicia of her grandmother. Had she not perceived that softness in her voice when they entered the kitchen, the hybrid would not have thought much of her. Buddy, who is she? She pointed at the old woman as she took another bite of her awful food. Don't stare so much, Alicia. At no point. Sorry, but really, do you know her? That's Amelia. She was part of the old abbot's inner circle. Say her Tom. She was one of his consultants. I want to see he's here to make sure Tom doesn't say anything he shouldn't. Interesting theory. She does seem to spend quite the amount of time in the kitchen for consulting. What do you suggest they know? I can't prove anything right now, but who knows? People in positions of power like William don't get their high standing just by doing good well. Perhaps they are aware of some secret of his that might be related to this case. We all are positive thinking, huh? Maybe we'll put your theory to test later. What do you think it will take for them to open up to us? Body blank, lowering his head slightly as he thought about the question for a few seconds. I'm not sure of the personal opinion of everyone within the old Abbott's circle, but they're sticking to the accident story and choosing to talk on that basis. The way I see it, there are two ways. You either find a piece of evidence more definitive than the wound on the back of William's head to prove it was a murder, or another murder takes place and it becomes impossible to call the first step an accident. Do you think it will come to that? I can't say for sure yet. Well, let's try to make it the first. Yes. Are you done? This should be enough for now. Let's go look for that Remigio guy. The food was delicious. Thank you very much. We're heading out now. Oh, come back if you need anything. Yes, although I expect it will still have the answer guard to let us through. Follow me. I know the place he was talking about. They walked past the church in the yard into a narrow area between the ladder and the wall. Soon they arrived at a humble door in the walls. Like Dolores had said, further east one could see the guards' barracks. Bonnie had been right. It was guarded. However, after bringing up Dolores and Remigio, they agreed to let them through if just to talk to the vampire. A guard escorted them through the long corridors within the walls to a small door upstairs. A raspy, a muffled voice came out from beyond it. You know the way back. Once you are done with your business, please show yourselves out. The dormant man made his way back to his post. Buddy and Alicia looked at each other, listening to the rambling inside until the crocodile finally opened the door. They were welcomed by a stuffy and dim room. The voices they had been hearing in the corridor became clearer as an old vampire fuming from having a victory snatched away from him at the very last moment came into their view. Fucking hell, Santiago. I hope fire smites you and hangs your burning corpse from a cross. Calm down, old man. It's just a game. This isn't about the game. You cheated. You know. You just know it. Some of your sleeves. Bet your gut cause hidden there. I'm going to break your fingers until you confess. Yeah, right. The young-looking possum beastman gave the vampire a smug smile before turning to Bonnie and Alicia. I was expecting to see you here. What do you need? We were looking for Remigio here. Huh? The grumpy vampire squinted as he looked at the crocodile and the white-haired girl, suspicion oozing from his eyeballs. Despite having soot on, his facial features and bald head were hardly hidden. The wrinkles in his pale visage talked about his age, but also about how often he made faces. It was the face of someone who smiled, but also frowned and pouted very often. Although Lois had called this man his teacher, Alicia judged him as much more childish than a werewolf. We talked with Lois. He said you might know something about what happened a couple of nights ago. The beastman called Santiago let out a small, mocking giggle. Neither detective nor Remigio paid him any mind. What do you do to him? Nothing. Alicia had just talked to him. That better be the case. So you want to know about the other night, huh? Now, Remigio, you don't need to humor him. You already know that Abbott's death was an unfortunate accident. Shut up, Santiago, I don't care. The parson crossed his arms and averted his gaze, although he was still smirking. I didn't notice anything strange, but there was a 4 hours long time window for anything to happen while I was training on Lois. I feel so. Don't get depressed just yet, Gary boy. I'm a crocodile. For a while, when Mijo didn't see anything that night, I did notice something strange later. Now he's just trying to waste your time. No, I don't think so. Let's hear what he has to say, buddy. Very well. What is it you noticed about the fire? What is it you noticed after the fire, Hawaii's from Mijo? The monks here, they don't always behave themselves. Going out at night is against the rules, but they do it all the time. They just want to have some fun or to relax under the night sky. But they know I'm watching from somewhere, so they don't try anything crazy. Well, that's how it was until last night, at least. What happened? Last night I got tired of doing my night shift and decided to rest once I got to the staff's dormitory. I was thinking of our departed abbot when I noticed something unusual. Someone sneaked to the cloister and tried to break to the church from the back entrance. Everyone's eyes, even Santiago's, suddenly signed it with interest. The apostle leaned forward on the table, glaring at the vampire. Are you serious right now? You should have informed me of this immediately. I was going to, Santiago, until your smug ass decided you'd rather play cards. Oh, come on. Move on. How exactly did they try to break in? As I said, I was overlooking the cloister from the ceiling on the burned out dormitory, so I wasn't close enough to make out the details. But I could tell he was struggling with the lock. Maybe he was trying to pick up or had a key that didn't fit. Why didn't you apprehend the intruder? About that, just as I was thinking of doing that, he turned around and saw me. Ran like hell after that. Nowadays, I can't just jump from a 2-story building like when I was under 200 years old. I had to climb down, and by then he was gone. Curses, we need to get you a work partner. Now they only slow me down even more. You keep saying he. Do you have any idea of who it was? Now I don't know. He was wearing a cement habit, but it was at least one size too big. I almost dragged on the ground behind him, and he had his hood on. The hood covered most of his face. When he saw me, I managed to make out some details on the chin and the mouth. I can't tell you who it was, but it was a man's jaw, a human jaw. I see. The crocodile closed his eyes, a rumbling coming out of his throat as he went over this new information in his mind. Do you think this is related to our case, buddy? It's worth checking out at the very least. Is there anything you'd like to ask Remigio Alicia? If he's willing. I got nothing better to do. Shoot. First of all, you spent the night jumping between the Abbey's roofs. Yes. And that doesn't hurt you? If they are too far away from each other, I can just climb onto the wall and move from there. I see. You also mentioned being more than 200 years old. Oh yes, I spent most of those in this abbey. The vampire said while puffing his chest with pride. For generations now, I've been everyone's grandpa here. At least for the ones that don't find me scary anyway. Interesting. What about Alois? How did you end up as his teacher? Is this even related to the case anymore? Bah. If anyone wants to go through werewolf or vampire training, I'm the guy to go to. I showed them monster ropes and all that good stuff. Helped them keep them safe before and after the transformation. This isn't like those cheap transformation potions the aristocrats used to drink. Your body needs to be strong enough to take it. Okay? Well, let's think. I hope it isn't too disrespectful. Do you drink blood? Nah, but I do eat a lot of blood sausages. Buddy's laugh rumbled out of his throat like a low growl. Sorry. Well, that'll be all. Thank you a lot for your cooperation. Before you go to Texas, I trust you will follow Abby's rules during your stay here, yes? Of course. Let's go, Alicia. What is that about? I warned about not going out at night to check out what Remigio told us about, I guess. We'll turn a deaf ear and go do that anyway, obviously. It better be related to the case. So what now? That's a good question. I suppose now we can go wait for the night unless you think there's more we can do. Why don't we go talk to your uncle? Excuse me? The Abbotts will return to their churches after tomorrow. If you want to question one of them, then the day is a time limit. I know you don't like your family, but the Abbotts might know something. Your uncle is the best shot we have at getting to them. After seconds of silence, Buddy let out a defeated sigh. He did not add. I figured he must be at the library. Follow me. The investigators entered the hallway leading to the scriptorium, but this time they took one of the spiral stairs in the middle. Alicia and Buddy arrived at the Abbey's library. Although there weren't as many monks here as in the scriptorium, there were still dozens of people in black robes moving around everywhere, and a single person in a blue habit that noticed them. Oh, I wasn't expecting to see you guys again so soon. What brings you here? Hi, Frank. Have you seen anyone that looks like Buddy? Or rather a slender, shorter, and snobbier version of me? Oh, that kind of sounds like my Abbott. Because it is. He's my uncle. Oh, what? So, is he here? I saw him over there a few minutes ago. Now I think about it, the two of you have spent a lot of time reading ever since you arrived. Maybe our taste for reading runs in our blood. I doubt it. Thank you, and see you later, Frank. The door headed the way the young monk had pointed, and soon enough the crocodilian Abbot came into sight. Although they bore some resemblance, at least they couldn't say she found this other crocodile to be too similar to Buddy. He was almost as tall and had a similar coloration, but his figure was slender and his scales looked faded, undoubtedly because of his advanced age. The old man was absorbed in his reading, not even noticing as the two approached him. Because I could use this chance to try to check his pockets, see if he's holding on to any secret. No, perhaps not. Buddy cleared his throat to get his uncle's attention. The other crocodile bolted up before abruptly closed his book and looking at either side, and lost look in his eyes. As soon as he noticed his nephew in the hybrid, he recovered his composure. Book still in hand, he crossed his arms behind his back and gave them a solemn look. Now, Buddy, and Alicia, if I recall correctly. Hello? Long time no see, Uncle. You jest. I have been seeing you come here to read almost every day. Long time no talk, then. We need to ask you a few questions. It's about that nonsense about William getting murdered. The old crocodile scowled, the corners of his mouth becoming stiff. I understand you were hired to look into this, but that woman should stop trying to look for culprits where there are none. It's very tasteless to use our comrades' death for her ends. What do you mean by that? It should be obvious. She's looking to get something out of this tragedy. Money, a better position. Don't want her co-workers, or even us. But I can guarantee she will not find anything on us, the Abbotts. We have nothing to hide. Let's see. So about those questions. Allow me to save all of us some time. We, as in the Abbotts, don't know anything about the fire. If we did, we would be obliged to tell you nothing. The police are already trying to determine the cause of the fire, and soon they will announce their findings. You are not near here, buddy. Stop associating with that woman and look for a more fruitful case to work on. Riley shrugged and turned away. I appreciate your concern, but I'm afraid I'll stick around for another while. Let's go, Alicia. Really? Why are you giving up so quickly? I know my uncle well. We will not change his mind. Trust me. Fine. Alicia looked at the old abbot one last time before walking out of the library. That didn't go too well. The abbots won't cooperate with us, not even Alvaro. That's assuming they do know something, of course. What's your opinion on that? Barry closed his eyes and let out a pensive grunt. Tell me what you think first. How can I put it? That little speech seemed pre-made. He tried to wash his own hands and to shift our attention to Maggie in one go. He didn't even speak for himself, always talking on behalf of the abbots. Wash his hands from what? The woman shrugged. I'm not sure yet. Alicia expected to see how underestimated how difficult it would be to get information out of anyone. So what do you think? I see your point, but there's a good chance he and the other abbots don't know anything. Think about it. If they knew there was a murderer on the loose in this church that has no qualms about killing someone of their status, would they willingly remain here? They don't even need to wait for the abbey ship. They have more than enough money to rent any vessel. Will they want to leave, but something's preventing them from doing it? Such as? Lisa looked up to the sky, deep in thought. I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas. Oh, here goes another one. They could be connected to the killer and know they won't be targeted. Maybe one of them is the killer. Make sure no one else hears you say that out loud. It's too soon to get ourselves kicked out. What's the next step? We'll check out the cloister tonight. We got a few hours until then. Maybe you could show me around. I haven't seen the entire place yet. Just thinking of that. You were inside the church, because all I can tell you is that the chapter house and the abbot study were in there too. Bobby lived in the direction of the kitchen and the dormitory buildings. Well, you have seen the south and west sides, so I'll show you the east and north sides now. Come. The two of them walked the yard separating the guards' barracks and the church. Into the east part of the abbey, where the burnt dormitory stood, facing the entrance to the cloister. Alicia expected the smell of ashes to evade her nose, but there was nothing. Well, it has been over a week since the fire. This is the staff's dormitory, in case it isn't evident enough. Over there is the entrance to the cloister. You can also reach the cloister from inside the church. We have nothing to see there for now, so let's move on. That over there is a corner. That over there in the corner is the storehouse. They keep the abbey's valuables and some food and tools in there. And finally, this is the infirmary. Can't say I have seen it being used often. I assume this is where the morgue is. As well. Yes. It seems they don't just keep the dead and the sick here, though. Alicia gestured to the east half of the building, which connected to a greenhouse. The blurry and faded silhouette of plant life was visible through the glass walls. It seems they used to receive medicinal herbs from Earth's church, but at some point they decided to start growing their own. Of course, they still need to be blessed, so an herb monk comes from time to time to help with that. Right now, Aloys, Frank, and the abbots are the only outsiders in this abbey, right? Not counting ourselves, yes. Suddenly, the chant and bells reverberated through the air. The both of them looked in the direction the sound was coming from, a curious look in Alicia's eyes. Time for dinner, I'm guessing. I didn't even notice time went by so fast. Nah. Here, dinner starts at 7 p.m. Isn't that too early? Alicia, at what time do you eat on the ship? Anyway, let's go. I was just starting to feel hungry again anyway. Yes. That sounds about what I expect him to say. Whether he thinks it was a murder or not, I suppose the average don't want to get too involved with the fire. It's smart for them, but oh well. Do you think they know anything? Even if they didn't, having an honest conversation would be better than nothing. Bonnie and Alicia had arrived at the refectory rather late. The long tables were already riddled with hungry monks, like ants gathering on a piece of candy on the floor. They had found vacant seats near the end of a table while Lois and Frank were eating. Although Alicia wanted to look for even more desolate spots, Bonnie was quick to sit across the werewolf, so she felt forced to join him. Frank, who was sitting in front of her, had asked her how things went at the library. Lois shook his head ever so slowly as he heard the ongoing conversation. I'm certain he is being honest with you. What makes you say that? It's simple. If there was a murderer on the loose here, and they were aware of it, they would have left already. They are powerful people, but our hypothetical criminal seems to not have qualms about murdering someone of high standing. I don't think they would risk their life staying if they know there's a murderer here. Bonnie said the same thing. Wolf boy here isn't bad at all. Watch out, or he might snatch your spot as my assistant, Alicia. You rest. The lawyer's ears wiggled with curiosity, but he decided against asking them to elaborate on what that sentence meant. As everyone continued eating, Alicia looked off to the side toward the other end of the noisy room. Then on a long table set apart from all the others sat the 6 abbots and Maggie. Were he alive, it would be William sitting on the cellar spot. She remembered Bitey's advice to not stare, but decided to ignore it. He wouldn't notice her anyway. They were too absorbed in their own business. Suddenly a small thought popped into her mind. She turned to the two knock monks. You know, I've been thinking that maybe this church and Nerus aren't that different. What do you mean? Back when I did volunteer labor at Earth Church, we mostly did medical work with healing methods. It happens that every time Hunter got hurt, they come to us rather than to a hospital. We have to prioritize them over other patients. The churches of Earth and Fire have a sort of symbiotic relationship going on, much like knots and cements. I see. Yes, that's a good way to put it. So we got Tim, Na, and Key left. Do those help each other somehow? Key's church operates independently, and Tim and Na are connected, although I don't know the details. Interesting. Is there any reason it works like this? Wouldn't it be easier if every church was self-sufficient? Although during this era the churches still fulfilled important societal duties, they had turned into primarily religious institutions for one simple reason. The Smith's church one day just stopped producing books. A private company or governmental organisms could take over that function. Even if Earth's church vanished nowadays, it could easily be replaced by hospitals. In a few words, humanity was strictly dependent on them to perform these tasks anymore, so they had evolved into places dedicated to teaching the monks and nuns useful skills in their doctrine while at it. They were tools to perpetuate the seventh religious harmony. However, it hadn't always been like that. It might seem hard today, but right after the cataclysm, things weren't that simple. I take it You are familiar with the divine designs? I must admit, I'm impressed. What are you guys talking about? Did I miss anything? Oh, you were pretty much it's a part-timer at Earth, so I guess you wouldn't know. The reason the Seven created the system was to foster cooperation between humans. Our ancestors weren't exactly nice to each other. Yeah, back then it took some time to get people to work together, even under divine guidance and the threat of extinction. Sounds like our ancestors were kind of messed up. I heard that if it wasn't because of the descendants, we wouldn't have made it. Ah, even I can guess the reason for that one. The planet got destroyed because the descendants went on all-out battle with the demons. They did prevent something worse, but it still made humans terrified of the descendants. It must have been a tough pill to swallow, that one. Even if they did for the sake of humanity, they did destroy our planet in the process. Yes, but it also meant people were too scared to disobey the Seven, so it helped with the cooperation problem. It sounds pretty disturbing when I put it like that, though. No kidding, but still, even if the descendants are fearsome creatures, I'm impressed that was enough to keep all of us in check. Indeed, humans are very unruly creatures. I suppose those who reject the help of the Seven simply died off without their help. That's probably true, but it sounds boring. What do you propose? What if they use some sort of spell to make our ancestors more submissive? It's better to not think about that. Was that the case? What tells us we are under the same spell right now? I suppose so. Besides, he was unruly, yes, but it doesn't mean they don't crave some form of authority. Well, picky is all. Do you guys happen to know what caused the descendants and the demons to fight? That's an excellent question. In the old world, there already were some records of their existence. Yeah, demon and angel-like figures were very common in ancient religions. We believe those were written by people that witnessed descendants of true demons. Both of them had coexisted in our world for millennia, so what caused them to suddenly go to war? As you said, it seems the demons found a method to turn most humans into those abominations in one go, but the descendants did all they could to prevent it. I know that, but what exactly happened? And if demons could just do that, then they would have tried much earlier than they did, no? Who knows? There's much regarding the divine that still escapes our understanding. So, when did this church start making clothing? I'm not certain. It started before me and Frank arrived here. I was surprised. It was surprising for us too. It was seen one day some man came here and told the abbot he wanted to revitalize the place. This idea of revitalization was buying sewing machines and offering classes to teach the monks how to use them. Oh, how interesting. In all my years as an earth nun, she never stepped into the temple. Cement does stop by here sometimes. He's a whimsical fellow. I hope he decides to come to the Abbey while we are here. I never met one the Seven before. Not that I would blame him if he wanted to keep his distance for now. What about Knock? Aloy's ears perked. Did he ever stop by your church? He never did. Much like our church's duty, he is enshrouded in mystery. That said, he does live in Hollow Mountain, which is located right next to the church. So you could technically walk over there and meet him? Yes. But it has never come to that. The abbots of our church have their rights for the times which they require guidance for Knock. Bobby caught Alicia glancing at him. He shrugged and took his third serving of beef. In any event, it's getting quite late. We should head to bed now. Oh wait, I almost didn't realize. You also barely ate anything. Grab something. It would be bad if your stomach started wobbling in the middle of the night. And also, before you boys go, you seem very knowledgeable. What can you tell me about this? Mike produced one of the envelopes Maggie had given to them. The two knock monks drew closer to glance at it. I recognize this symbol. It's Omega, a letter from the Greek alphabet. Could you elaborate on that? I'm a bit lost here. There's a month I can tell you. This is a letter from a very ancient alphabet that was created around how long ago again? Around 4,000 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. However, it is still used until before the cataclysm. Where do you find this? It was found in the Abbey and might have been set by William's murderer. Let's leave it at that for now. Oh, and I figure you were curious as to why the culprit would decide to send a message using this letter. Correct. Complicated question. I can't say anything comes to mind. Yes, same here. I won't hold you up any longer. Thanks for the help, boys. You're welcome. We'll get going then. Nice talking to you guys. It's always great to have new people around here. Yes, take care. Good night. The two monks got up and left. Body waited patiently as Elisa ate some more food and meat from one of the trays on the table. What's our next stop? The bed. So soon? We have plans for the night, remember? Right, catching a guy trying to sneak into the church. We don't know for certain if he'll try to make another move tonight, but it is the best lead we have at the moment. I understand. After the hybrid woman had her fill, the two of them got up and headed to their cell. Barney and Lisa made their way through the hordes of monks, flooding the dormitory to reach their cell on the upper floor. As Body was unlocking his cell, raspy shouting began resonating from the stairs. Elisa initially thought it was a vampire Remigio, but upon further thought, she realized that was wrong. The shouting drew closer, alongside the sound of a knock on the marble floor. No, rather, it was the sound of a cane. A very old-looking man, skin rough as sweet bark, with a very fuzzy beard, crawled up the stairs and toward them. His gaze was focused on Body. The crocodile sighed, put his hands on his pockets, and turned to the old man without his usual exaggerated cheer. Greetings, Abbot. Is there anything I can do for you? Don't try to sweet-talk me, you scoundrel. Have I not told you to stop snooping around? He really wasn't trying to sweet-talk you. This man, from his wounds, he must be the 10th Abbot. I knew he was old, but after seeing Body's uncle, I imagined he'd be in better shape than this. The old man elicited a couple of awkward looks from the monks nearby as he hurled insults toward the crocodile while trying to hit his sins him with that cane. Body patiently waited for him to blow all his steam as he dodged or deflected each strike by moving his tail and legs. After a while, Brandis seemed to grow tired. He stopped to catch his breath, and at that moment, the look in his eyes changed from that of a child throwing a tantrum to one of a stern, authoritative figure. He put his cane down and leaned on it. You're nothing but a kid that chose to run away from home to live out his mystery fantasies instead of taking over the responsibilities your family entrusted to him. You have no right to cast doubt on your uncle's character. You better remember that. Body closed his eyes and crackled. Brandis didn't overlook this opening and struck his leg with a cane right on the bone, tearing a yelp out of the crocodile. Lisa was about to serve him when another figure climbed up the stairs and, after finding the old abbot, sprinted to him. There you are, Brandis. Come, you need to sleep. Oh, Luca. The harshness in the old man's expression didn't dissipate, but shifted to the other abbot instead. His wound signaled he was the abbot Akid. Luca ignored the investigators in a hurry to get Brandis to return to the cell before he made more of a blunder. Alvaro is calling for you. He says he wants to talk about today's supper. He wants your opinion before he has a word with himself. Come, let's go. Brandis' expression softened not because Luca said anything particularly significant, but because this little distraction made him forget about his anger from just now. Luca directed an apologetic look at Bobby before placing both hands on Brandis' shoulders and guiding him back downstairs. Alicia checked on Bobby, who was still rubbing his leg. Are you okay? Yes, this is nothing, although it still hurt like hell. The old man must have a lot of practice hitting sins. That was Brandis, if Mary serves me right. Indeed. He's a pain to deal with, as you might have noticed. Yes. Not sure he's completely there in the head. His age caught up to him a while ago, it seems. There are some rumors about his successor being desperate for him to die. He was selected 20 years ago and is now in his 50s. It seems he's concerned Brandis might even outlive him at this rate. That's the problem with making life too good for these old farts. They never die and the positions never become vacant. Indeed. For Body's sake, it might be better to avoid interacting with the abbots unless we're sure they are involved. Hitting him aside, I didn't like Brandis' tone one bit. And their encounter drained them on what little energy they had left. They got in their beds without saying much else and fell asleep soon after. I entered the grow room and looked around. Although she wasn't much taller than me, she was a lot heavier and wider and was dressed in green gardening clothes. It came back to me. She was a nun of Erd. Alicia, what brings you here? I'm looking for a way to make myself useful. Is that so? The woman brought her hand to her chin, deep in thought. A few seconds later, her eyes shined with inspiration. They seemed dirty as if submerged in murky water. I know. I got a job perfect for you. Come here. I stood still and watched as the nun walked up to the door and opened it. Then all the noise penetrated the room again. She looked back at me and spoke. Are you coming? Of course. We stepped into the long, hazy hallway. Despite all the noise, there was no one there. Before I even realized it, we were standing in front of an old-looking wooden door. I had a feeling I had come to this room before too, but I was drawing a blank. The nun produced a key and opened the door with it. All I could see inside was a dark miasma so thick that it looked as if it would start spilling like a viscous liquid into the hallway at any moment now. And yet I followed the nun without a second thought, and we sank into the oily substance, the door closing by itself behind us. The smell in there reminded me of a hospital, sterile but slightly sweet as well. And my eyes got used to the darkness. I made out a couple of cells lined with labeled jars and vials. Was this my school lab? No. How are you doing? The nun turned to me, bearing a crooked smile and eyes wide open. It must be so hard. I'm fine. She looked ahead and kept walking. We passed under an archway into a way more spacious room. Here we are. I was welcomed by the sight of a broad bed surrounded by drawers and some other furniture. Some boxes were lying around as well. One of them, by the foot of the bed, was full of stuffed animals and other toys for kids. A jovial smile on the fat nun's face, she stepped toward the bed. She sat there and then reached out for something. I only saw it then. Something was lying there. With a playful voice, not any different from that a parent would use to talk to their child, the nun spoke to the thing. "Hi, I brought you a friend this time. Do you miss me?" She took the thing in her arms and brought it close to her chest, then turned to me with gleeful eyes and a smile. "Come closer. Look at him. Ah, he likes it when you rub his forehead like this. It's because of the scar." The nun gave me a demonstration and then invited me to do the same. Without thinking, I set my arm, put my fingers in the thing's forehead, moving them in a circular motion. Its skin was cold and slick, hard like a rock. But I also felt disassociated from this entire situation, as if I wasn't expecting this, but instead watching it happen from someone else's perspective. My mind, my fingers, my body is numb. I felt almost as cold as that creature, and yet my eyes stung as if someone was piercing them with needles. Good. Its eyes. His mother did it to him, poor thing. I heard a sob and turned to the woman. She was still putting on a smile, but tears were beginning to drip from her eyes. "You must help me." "How?" "Help him." The nun let the thing down on the mattress. Before again I've been starting to rummage through other boxes on the drawers. She seemed to forget about me, so I got up and looked around the room. I approached a long window near one of the corners. I didn't remember seeing it from outside. Curious, I got close and tried to see through it. However, it was impossible. The glass was dirty enough, I just couldn't make out anything. All I was able to tell is that on the other side it was just as dark as in here. The longer I stared, the more that darkness started to take over my vision, threatening to swallow me whole. It was like staring into the void, to nothingness itself. A chill went down my spine, and I turned away from the window. The nun had found what she had been looking for and was holding it in her right hand as she stared daggers at me. Her smile was gone, replaced by pure white teeth, and as she seethed and trembled. "What are you doing?" She was holding a hammer. "Why do your eyes move like that? Why is it that his can't? Is it fair?" I stepped back as she started walking toward me. I felt she was cornering me against the wall. There weren't many places for me to run. But before she could get close, a creak filled the room. Light started to pour in, and the nun started looking around before facing me again. "That's me again." I wanted to ask her what this was, but my mind was numb. Blinding light flooded my eyes. I was helpless to escape it even by closing my eyelids. Alicia opened her eyes to find herself staring at a couple of yellow eyes. Or at least that was what she thought to be seeing. It was too dark for her to be sure. "Buddy, is that you?" "Yes, Alicia. Are you all right?" "Huh? You're sweating buckets. Do you get a fever during the trip here?" You should have told me. "What? No, of course not." The hobbit woman noticed her clothes sticking to the seats and making an almost inaudible but still unpleasant sound as he got up. The air seemed to suddenly come to life and attack her, making her shiver as the cold spread through her body. "Alicia, I'm not going to lie. You don't seem okay. Look, if you aren't in top shape, it might be better for the two of us if you stay here for the night." No, I'm serious. I'm fine. I'm just having a strange dream is all." "Is that so? Do you want to talk about it?" We have work to do, don't we?" "Okay. In any case." The crocodile got to his feet, letting out a small grunt. "You probably don't want to go out like this. I'll wait outside while you dry and change your clothes. Oh, but before that, I sneaked into one of the empty rooms and found some monk habit someone left in one of the closets. I'd like you to wear it. Might be hard to sneak around while looking so white, you know. Fair enough. After Bonnie and Alicia exited their dormitories, the hyper woman looked up to the sky. A small voice was all that could be heard in the stillness of the night. They weren't cold enough to get a chill out of Alicia. There were a few clouds in the sky, but they covered only some stars. The two moons were completely visible, their natural blue glow tainted the dark. So, they were fighting to save our world, huh? Let's make haste, Alicia. I prefer Remigio not to catch us. Right. The two of them made their way to the burnt dormitory and from there passed under the arch leading to the cloister. The cloister was enclosed in 4 galleries and quite spacious, although there was a distinct lack of decoration and plant life, especially compared to the yard. I was expecting something fancier for the cloister. What flowers they had here burned days ago, I suppose. The church back's entrance is in the middle of the western gallery. Do we wait at south or north? North. Elisa and Bonnie sat down at one of the benches at the northwestern corner. The crocodile looked out at the cloister for any activity, while Alicia kept an eye on the door to the church. Hey, Alicia. Bonnie spoke to her, his voice a barely audible whisper. Yes, do you see anything? No. I was thinking if you want to talk about that dream you had, we have time now. Seriously? The woman sighed. I'm just worried you were really shaken up. There's something eating away at you. If it was about your father, don't worry. I know the old dog well. I may not know where he is, but I'm damn sure he's alive. No, it wasn't about that. No. Bonnie turned to see the girl. He could only make out her mouth and nose that she was wearing a monk habit, but that was all he needed to guess. Her expression, calm and as cold as the color of her skin. You know, that boy, Alois. I get the feeling the two of you are alike. That's a bit harsh, no? You know, I still more personality than him. That's right, but still. The crocodile turned his eyes to the cloister once more. You're both the side type, keeping everything to yourselves, even your problems. I don't know how to reach out to you when you're sulking. But I'm fine this time, really. If you want to hear about the dream, I can tell you, I suppose. It's not like our Mr. Intruder has shown up yet. Sure, go ahead. It wasn't anything that shocking, really. I'm not sure why I woke up like that. I was at Earth's church. I was looking to help the nuns there somehow, so one of them took me to a dark room somewhere. There was this thing. When I first saw it, I instantly knew it was a baby. Then I treated it like one too. But it was all wrong. It was covered in something viscous. Its skin was like marble, so cold to touch. But the worst was its eyes. I can't remember what they looked like, but they were by far what creeped me out the most. Curious. I wonder why you dreamed that. I don't think dreams work like that. I once heard that we dream because our brains processing information acquired during the day. That sounds like mumble jumble. Who knows? Maybe you are on the brink of realizing something and... Buddy, did you hear that? The both of them fell silent. The crocodile's eyes moved to the east gallery where the arch that welcomed visitors to the cloister was. From there, a hooded figure emerged in its oversized habit, dragging across the ground behind it. Buddy and Alicia got off their seat and hid behind one of the water columns, a hybrid peeking her closer to keep an eye on the mysterious figure. That's our man, and can't tell who it is. I couldn't either. We'll need to get a closer look at his face. Should we surprise him while he tries to get the door open? Let's observe him for now. Buddy didn't need to say more. Alicia immediately understood what he wanted, to allow the intruder to the church and follow him to his destination. The cloaked man fiddled with the lock for a few seconds, and then they heard the door open without any further resistance. The man produced a lantern and stepped inside, leaving the door to close itself, only for Alicia to stop it before it closed completely. Buddy, I should go ahead. I get it. Big man, big footsteps. Come on now, let's not lose any more time. Alicia peeked through the crack of the door, just in time to see the silhouette of the man turning around the corner, out of her field of view. She watched that the light was still moving away, and only then entered the church. Using the fading light as a guide, Alicia navigated the dark hallways of the church. She heard the door close behind him, and the faint sound of Buddy's steps a few meters behind her, but she ignored them, her focus on that orange glow ahead. Like a little moth looking to throw itself into a campfire she chased. At some point, however, the light stopped moving. She slowed down, her pale fingers caressing the cold marble of the wall behind her. Then she suddenly felt something Cohen's leg. Huh? She almost jumped as she took her hand off the wall. She closed her fist, expecting to feel the sensation of cold, slippery slime on it, but there was nothing. Her eyebrows furrowed as he took a closer look at the wall. There's nothing here. Was that my imagination? The hybrid woman turned around to see the crocodile, hoping he wouldn't notice her sudden unease. It didn't seem like he did. This hallway. He must be standing in front of Abbott's study. What do you think he's looking for there? Beats me. The sound of a door unlocking resonated within the wall, followed by a small creak. The two of them remained silent, the crocodile taking a look from the corner to the still open study's door. The light faded as the intruder went deeper inside. The detective turned to his assistant again, speaking as low as he managed. The plan is simple. We go there. I beat him up. We ask questions later. Understood? Records will follow as usual. Okay? Good, let's. Buddy stepped closer to the door, and before he could finish that sentence, he noticed inside it was completely dark. He didn't think twice and dashed forward, sinking into the darkness. Alicia remained where she was. Her legs suddenly refused to cooperate. The door creaked some more, and then she heard something like a slap. No, that wasn't right. Those were footsteps, hasty and agile. Soon another set of footsteps, these heavy and slower, joined a similar sounds resonating between those cold walls. Buddy? It didn't take long for her to figure out what was happening. She too broke to a sprint, running after the two sets of footsteps. She could barely see with the little moonlight that entered from outside, but managed to avoid hitting any wall. However, she wasn't able to get a glimpse of Buddy or the person they were chasing. Eventually, she arrived at a much larger room. She couldn't make out the shape of the columns and neatly lined up pews. She immediately knew where she was, and so she ran to the vestibule. Damn it, where did he go? Buddy, what happened? Alicia reunited with her very frustrated body. The crocodile panted as he stood right outside the open church door, his gaze shifting frantically from one place to the other. He didn't bother to turn around when it answered Alicia, still looking. He must have noticed us at the very last moment. He got away, the bastard. At least you're alright. I was scared there for a second. Yeah. The crocodile dropped his shoulders, tired, and then stepped back into the church. He decided to close the door so as to not draw Remedios or the guards' attention. This might be a stupid question, but this door is always usually closed at night, right? Yes, it seems an intruder managed to get keys for both entrances, or maybe both doors still locked. We will need to find out where they keep the keys from all. For now, let's go back. Maybe we can figure out what he was looking for at the Abbey study. Understood. The way back to the study, Alicia staying close to him and avoiding touching the walls. The door into the study was still open wide, but it was too dark to make out anything inside. Just by looking at the study, Alicia had a good idea of what it was like during a normal day. The abbot, or rather Maggie now, sitting comfortably on that cushioned seat doing paperwork with a bored look in her eyes. Somewhat dusty files and books sitting on the shelves, light entering through the open windows and occasionally making the curtains dance, and some rumble from the working monks coming from the hallway. If only tonight that was the case. Silence reigned in the church at night. The curtains were closed and books and papers were chaotically spread across the study's floor. And some of them had fallen on a red river that flowed from near the door to behind the desk. There was no one sitting at a desk working. Instead, what they saw was a pair of legs that stuck out from behind the desk. By the 7, Lisa, don't touch anything. Buddy didn't want to warn her. She understood what they had stumbled into. She had seen scenes like these many times while working with the crocodile. The detective stepped inside, avoiding touching the papers and the blood as he made his way around the desk to check the body. All his blood still fresh. He got killed just now. Is it a monk? No, this is Giorgio. You mean the abbot of the church or nah? That's right. What on earth was he doing here? That's a darn good question. What were he and an unknown person doing at a church at this hour? How did it end up in a murder? Is it that same culprit behind William's death? Body pondered about this, and as he looked down, his eyes not focused on anything in particular, not even the corpse. There seemed to be some kind of sparkle being reflected off of them. In these situations, Body's eyes always shine much like a child's that had just received a new toy, but it wasn't just that this time. Alicia took a step into the room and tried to peek behind the desk. The atmosphere suddenly shifted. Alicia took a step back, startled by a sudden pop in a crack. The room grew darker. No, rather, it was as if the light was being sucked into a single point of the room. Something floated up from behind the desk. A pale light constantly changing, releasing bolts of electricity until it all concentrated in a small and white ball of fire. It floated, going higher until it was touching the ceiling. Alicia stared at it, her mouth hanging open as she took another step back and held onto the door's frame. Bitey? As all this happened, the crocodile just kept staring at the corpse. As he finally turned to see Alicia, the world was engulfed in a flash. Alicia let out a scream. With a thunderous roar, the fire disappeared just as suddenly as it had manifested. Body's eyes opened wide, but he quickly regained his composure and walked toward the hybrid woman. Alicia, what's wrong? He asked as he placed a hand on her back. You didn't see it? By the 7, please tell me you did. I don't have any idea of what you were talking about, unfortunately. Did something move or anything like that? No, forget it. Alicia's eyes shifted again to the spot where the flame had been. Now, All that remained was a black spot where it had touched the ceiling. Body followed her gaze, but he didn't seem to notice anything new. After a moment, he pulled Elisa closer, letting her rest her head on his belly. I think we were both stressed after the night, especially you since you had a very bad sleep. Let's go back to the dormitory. I'll tell Megan what happened here. Meanwhile, I want you to go get some more rest, alright? I'll wake you up later. Shouldn't one of us stay here in case the culprit comes back? No, we need to sit together precisely because they might still be out there. Alright, no objections. They walked out of the study and Body closed the door. So, I have no idea what that was. That ball of light. Apparently, only Elisa was able to see it. Body didn't see it. And Body also didn't notice the explosion that took place. So, was it something that only Elisa could see? Did the ball freeze time for Body and everything else, but not for Elisa? I have no idea what it was. But apparently only Elisa was able to see it, and she was the only one that witnessed the destruction. Body didn't notice anything, because with an explosion like that would have been impossible for Body to not notice it. So apparently there was something about it that only Elisa was able to see and witness. Or it might have some kind of power. It was time stopped for Body, but time continued for Elisa. So they caught somebody out throughout the night going to the church. Who that person was, they don't know. Neither Body nor Elisa has had any idea who that person was. There's 21 days left until something happens. You have no idea what it is. So the big event that destroyed the world was this battle between the descendants and demons. And the descendants ended up defeating the demons, but they destroyed the world in the process. So basically the reason the world as it is right now is because of that war. And also Aloys and Frank both said that humans were very unruly people, which I can relate to with the way the world is right now. All the war and people just don't want to coexist and all that. So I can see why. So I understand what they're saying, what Aloys and Frank are saying, in that whole unruliness from humans is what made it very difficult for the descendants to get humanity in order if it was going to recover from the war. So it seemed like the descendants had to intimidate humanity into submitting to them. So I think that's what really caused humanity to follow them and the seven gods that they worship. I think they're gods that the people worship. The seven gods, and each church is named after one of the seven gods. So next time we'll continue with the mystery in chapter 1. All information for the games in the description box below. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.